Hello there, Atheist Junior here, your friend and humble narrator. And I'm so happy to be here with Emma Thorne again, doing another collab. So
Hello.
she made a really good video that was calling Kent out on him and Matt Powell about, being horrible people. But there was one specific thing that I've made videos talking about this before, but I don't think a lot of people realize that Kent has said this thing. He's been saying it for a while, talking about HIV and AIDS. Now, going back to like the 80s and 90s, Kent would say that like AIDS and other viruses were developed intentionally in like CDC labs to lower the population, like some sort of conspiracy with Satan.
What should we do? Well, there's coming a great tribulation, folks. Here in America and all around the world. You're going to see famines and diseases and all these microorganisms being manufactured in the laboratories in Maryland and in Florida that are purposely being introduced, like the AIDS virus and all this stuff. Look, I read all that stuff. I'm familiar with it. Yes, a lot of it's true.
But he has this really messed up like conspiracy theory belief about, or not really a conspiracy, just this messed up belief that if you would take the original people who had AIDS or HIV and AIDS, because it's two separate things, and isolated them and basically killed all of them, that would prevent the disease from profligating and killing a lot more people.
Now, you're going to get mad at me for saying this, but this is obvious truth, okay? Suppose when the disease was first discovered, all those who had it were isolated or euthanized. Millions of lives would have been saved.
But I'm having trouble seeing what exactly he's saying in his response. Did you have that same reaction?
I've given up understanding what he's saying in general, so I don't know. I think he saw an opportunity to slap our names in a video title. And that's like as far as it goes. The rest is just word salad.
Yeah, because really, I'm barely mentioned in this video except for Kent to call me a homosexual a bunch of times. I guess he got into your sexual history in the last one, so now we're going to do mine. I guess that's only fair.
Yeah, it's only right. It's only fair. It's one of those things where I'm not making any suggestions. But the people who cry the loudest about certain things being wrong tend to be doing so from some form of self-hate or, feeling uncomfortable with some aspect of themselves. That's all I'm going to say about that. And I'll let you infer what you like.
So Emma and Matt Powell, Emma said Kent Hovind and Matt Powell being horrible people.
By now, most of you are probably aware of the briefly entertaining beef that I had with the tax avoidant, physically abusive.
Wait, Emma. The tax avoiding, physically abusive. I've never avoided any taxes that I owe. I pay every tax I owe, always have.
That's actually, people pointed out in the comments, that's actually true because avoiding taxes isn't illegal. He's a tax evader. So that was my mistake. I gave him that one for free. I think he keeps going on about, there was that series somebody made, the Kent Hovind is innocent series. He keeps bringing that up a lot lately. I feel like he's probably watched that so much that he believes himself to be, he's always maintained his innocence. No matter how many courts find him absolutely guilty and how long he spends in prison, he's always going to say he's innocent. But it does seem like more prolific than usual recently.
I pay a lot of tax on gasoline, sales tax. I pay every tax I owe. I've never cheated the government out of a penny. Brady Byram was so upset about what they did to me, putting me in prison for structuring, not for tax avoidance, for structuring. And even then, I didn't break that law. He did an 8-hour, I think it's 8 or 9 hours. He studied my case for 15 months, put together a video series, Kent Hovind is innocent.net. But you start right off, the tax avoiding Kent Hovind. I didn't avoid any taxes. Stop lying about me, Emma. And physically abusive, there you go. I didn't body slam anybody or physically abuse anybody.
Young Earth creationist preacher Kent Hovind and his demonic underling Matt Powell.
His demonic underling. She starts right off with all these ad hominem attacks, and then this whole her whole video is upset because we attack them.
It's not ad hominem. I'm sorry, Ken. It's not ad hominem because the video is about you being a bad person. So if you want to put it like that, the entire thing is a personal attack. That's the entire pointing out that you're a bad person isn't ad hominem. If I said you're a bad person and therefore your views on creationism are wrong, that would be ad hominem and it wouldn't make sense. In a video about why Kent Hovind is a terrible person, calling you terrible people is just accurate.
Right. Well, yeah, it's a good point because Kent is he's permanently stuck in the idea that everything on YouTube that's related to him is related to a debate about creationism and evolution.
Yes.
Personally, I don't think the phrase ad hominem has any actual meaning in the modern way it's used. I think it's just lost any meaning because it's used too much and it's used incorrectly. That's just me. I don't think it's a very useful term. But
yeah, it's definitely misused and abused a lot more than it is used usefully or correctly. The videos Willow the Wendigo did on the Knights of the Dunce Table featuring Kent Hovind, he was her example of ad hominem. I believe he's Kent ad Hovindum on that, but that she gives good examples of how his claims that everything is ad hominem is not something close to reality, because that's something that his fans have picked up a lot and tend to parrot as well, which is a shame.
Yeah, it was really funny in one video where he reads the definition of ad hominem, and then one of the examples on the website he reads is, we shouldn't listen to this woman because she had a kid and she's not married. And then later in the video, he's like, AJ, were you married? Are you married? Like to discredit me.
Yeah. How much sexual intercourse have you had, Emma?
Emma Thorne. I love that song at the end.
And it's stuck in my head for ages.
Doing the same thing, Emma. Don't dish it out if you can't take it. Come on. Okay.
The back and forth provided some brief chuckles.
I think he gravitated onto that line because that was something I said in our last video. Obviously, I've made fun of Kent on my channel a lot. So if he wants to make fun of me on his channel, I always say, don't dish it out if you can't take it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe.
I think that's why he keeps saying this. I think that made him mad. Because he tends to obsess over things that irritate him and stick in his craw, and he'll repeat them over and over again. So
yeah,
just something I've noticed.
For a bit, and I made some really cool friends, but the disrespect, the condescension, the sexism, the
Disrespect, condensation, like you are doing to us?
condensation.
Previously on condensation.
Ellen, there's moisture on the outside of my glass.
It's condensation, Johnny.
But what about the fog on the windows?
It's not fog, Johnny. It too is called condensation.
Condensation.
I just noticed that.
I'm sorry. It doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but it is funny.
I'm drowning in condensation.
Emma?
cherry picking. It all became a bit much, and I decided I was done with it quite quickly. Here's the thing. Ultimately, I do think it's problematic and dangerous to promote any kind of conspiracy theory.
Wait, it's dangerous to promote a conspiracy theory. Well, that's what you guys are doing. Stop and think, Emma. Stop and think. Okay, it's exactly what you are doing. Don't dish it out if you can't take it. Okay, go ahead.
Earth creationism is a conspiracy theory.
So it's a conspiracy to believe young Earth creationism. Emma, yes. I don't believe in young Earth creationism.
But it is a conspiracy theory because you have to believe that all of the scientists on Earth are involved in a conspiracy, and all of the publishers of scientific research and people who decide whether or not teachers lose their job or not are in on the conspiracy. You know, they won't publish material because we know creationists have tried so hard to publish in reputable science journals, but are just blocked.
It's a huge conspiracy theory. Like, it's so far reaching. Like you say, it ties into all these other things. There's all these conspiracies that go with it about peer review and, publishing journals and things. Like, it's absolutely a conspiracy. But then Kent has this habit of he'll just say something and sort of assert that it's true. Like, this isn't a conspiracy theory. But I think someone could clip Kent Hovind saying, I don't believe in young earth creationism. And then we just flood the internet with that.
6,000 years is a long time. That's a long time. It's hard to think about Columbus 500 years ago trying to.
Yeah, it's long on your own human time scale. It's really hard to understand deep time on a human time scale. That's the whole point.
That's a long time, Emma. 1,000 years ago. Whoa, that's hard to think about, isn't it? The Vikings running around beating up on folks. That's only 1,000. 2,000 years ago? Emma, 6,000 is a long time. I am not a young earth creationist. I think 6,000 is a long time. You guys think that billions of years old. That's moronic. Go ahead.
Because it's a religious one doesn't make it less so. But at this point, I'm sort of beyond caring about that. Everything
You're beyond caring about it, so that's why you're doing another video. Okay, go ahead.
that they have to say.
Beyond caring about the science evolution part of it, what she now cares about is you being a horrible person and putting that on blast. So that's what.
Yeah. he's just not got a way of. It's like he can't read YouTube video titles, and he just can't. Everything in it's like there's some process that goes on between his eyes and his brain that restructures everything he sees to make it about creationism and evolution.
It's like if you've seen that movie They Live, where he's got the glasses that change everything. It's like that just makes everything about Evo versus creationism debate. Hovind lives. I came here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Anyway, we've said it 1,000 times because you don't get it. I'm probably going to keep saying 2 + 2 is 4 for the rest of my life. The truth doesn't change, Emma. You guys don't get it. You still think a cow and a banana have a common ancestor, don't you, Emma? You think you have a common ancestor with a banana, don't you, Emma? Who's the other guy said he's a strawberry, and P.Z. Meyer said he's a fish, and somebody else said he's a baboon.
Okay, well, first off, it would be a banana plant or a banana tree. Banana is the fruiting body of a banana plant or a banana tree. A banana is not a living organism on its own. And I guess now saying that you're related to something means you are that thing now.
Yeah. So last time he did this to me, he did the strawberry one. He was like, oh, you think you're related to a strawberry? And I said, explain strawberry shortcake then, Kent. So if now he's saying I'm related to a banana, then I would like Kent to explain bananas in pajamas. Thank you very much.
Or banana bread.
Oh, love banana bread.
Mm. Yep.
I may believe that one. Anyway, okay.
They just keep repeating the same lines that have been debunked time and time again. There's no.
Our lines have never been debunked, Emma. Tell you what, call 855 Big Dino, extension 3. I'll get the phone later.
He never has his phone on him. Why does he never?
No, he doesn't. I don't have my phone on right now, but
it's eternally charging.
It's funny because it's like 100 years old. It's one of those phones with the massive buttons so you can see what you're typing.
Yeah, and he's got like a belt clip.
What I am most concerned about now is the way in which Kent Hovind in particular, Matt Powell has always been overt about his horrible, horrible views, but the way in which they are slipping in more and more violent, dramatic, out there, horrific viewpoints into their religious ministry, right? There are so many other preachers that share their views that do so in a much less harmful way. Now, I did a collab.
In a much less harmful way. We don't harm anybody. This is it's a toy, Emma. When we smack it, it doesn't feel anything. Okay? It's a toy. This is science trying to knock some sense into that. We don't harm anybody.
It's funny that first of all, the only harm he can consider existing is, abuse, which is, I think, an interesting thing to suggest, because obviously he can inflict psychological harm. He's tried to, like we talked about before, he's tried to affect the law and education. But also, like, this video has examples of him talking about physically abusing his children when they were young, on multiple occasions. That's what he does. He spreads the message that physically abusing children is okay. That is objectively harmful. There's no argument there.
When you misgender somebody, you're contributing to a narrative that is violent, that is directly relating to people getting outed, people getting hurt or killed. Bigotry is still harmful because it contributes to narratives that lead to people getting hurt, even if it's not directly hurting somebody. And the fact that Kent plays a lot of this video and kind of just says nothing pretty much means that he's like, yeah, I stand by what I said there, which is kind of messed up in its own right, you know?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
A while ago with Atheist Junior. If you do want to keep up with whatever nonsense Hovind and Powell are saying, go check out Atheist Junior. Also go check out AJ anyway, because that's the good shit. Other clips and cut it together. So even though it's only a slice of their behavior, I've whittled it down to just the prime examples of how awful they are as people. Hovind and Powell continue to be really rude and awful to my friends and people that I like. Misgendering my friend Willow, giving her the wrong name, calling Creaky.
Misgendering? What? We'll talk about that in a minute. Creepy blinder? Or creaky? Yeah. Okay.
Creepy blind man. Continually being rude about AJ because AJ outs them constantly for what they do.
Get it out. Emma, you put up a whole videotape that said you are a queer. That's what you said. AJ, I think, has admitted he's homosexual. I don't know. Go ahead.
I know it's maybe...
What? I didn't put out a video saying I'm a queer, just to clarify. It's fine. I can forgive that slightly old man misusage of the term.
Yeah, I mean, not that it matters, and not that Kent has the intelligence and empathy to understand the distinction, but I'm bi. I'm not a homosexual. No, I mean, for the record.
I mean, this video also demonstrates, the one that he's responding to demonstrates how deeply homophobic they are. So it's not unsurprising for him to just take an opportunity to slip in that we have deviant sexualities, that aren't godly or whatever, just as an extra bit of ad hominem, perhaps. Just give you an example. One video of theirs that was brought to my attention recently featured Kent Hovind expressing the view, amongst many other things, that back in the AIDS crisis, people who caught HIV should have been isolated or euthanized. And in this video, he says multiple times different people that should have been killed. He really, really keeps advocating for genocide. And I think he's...
Genocide is killing a race of people. You need to look up genocide. Okay. There are certain behaviors. England had all kinds of laws to execute people for certain crimes. Most countries still do. I don't advocate genocide. I never have. Stop lying about me, Emma.
He's going to be debunked literally in the video that I show. But also, why does he keep making me responsible for English laws hundreds of years ago?
It's just so messed up, the idea of rounding up everybody that had AIDS. First of all, the government and the medical communities didn't even agree on the term AIDS at first. They called it gay cancer. They called it gay-related immune deficiency. They had a lot of different terms. So they didn't even agree on what you would have called these people that you were rounding up. Also, sometimes people can be asymptomatic. So it's possible, it would have been impossible to gather up every single person that had it. That's just not something that could have been done when they had such a low understanding of what the disease was. The definition that they gave for AIDS when it was first discovered was a disease at least moderately predictive of a defect in cell-mediated immunity occurring in a person with no known cause for diminished resistance to that disease. So there's no mention in that definition of the person's sexual orientation, but right off the bat, and Kent did the same thing talking about this. He's going to do the same thing in this video. It's associated with people who are gay and specifically guys. And maybe this is a subtle dig by Kent. Maybe that's why he brought up calling me a homosexual, because he wants to like subtly infer something. I don't know.
No, and I think I made the point in the video he's responding to already, but it doesn't seem to matter to Kent that it's now a livable disease, and you can have it and you can live a long, happy life. Kent would still rather those people not have existed.
Here's the trigger warning. Hovind and Powell want to execute people for being gay, which by extension means they want to live in a theocracy.
And also, it's really kind of telling that he vehemently denies the tax thing again, but he just sits idly by when you say that Kent Hovind and Matt Powell want gay people to be executed. And he's just like, yeah, okay. Yeah, he's more bothered by that.
Yeah.
Didn't break any laws at all. They were railroading me because of my teaching. Like, you don't like my teaching because I teach God's word is true. And you don't have to live by that book, do you, Emma? That's okay. We'll talk about it in a minute.
I know.
I just want people to see who they are. So do take care when watching this compilation. Thank you so much for watching. Brace yourselves. Here come Kent Hovind and Matt Powell.
Here she goes, folks. I can say you're an idiot, and I can show you plenty of examples of that. This young fella's obviously obsessed or possessed. I'm living rent-free in his head. But folks, don't worry. It's not crowded. I have lots of room in there, okay? I just have to arrange my stuff around his video games and fantasy world stuff, okay? There's no kind way to say it.
So it's not crowded, but you have to arrange things in such a way because there's not enough room. Okay.
Not only does that not make sense, but he pre-prepared it. He wrote it in advance in a slide and it still doesn't make sense. That's embarrassing.
And that's why R and Ra and all these freaks, Richard Dawkins, and I said they're freaks, folks.
All the Chinese look alike, okay? It's not you, right? I remember when we were living in Illinois, one of my sons was 2 years old. He went out and played in the street. My wife went out and said, "No, son, you don't play in the street." Brought him back in. He turned around, walked right back out in the street. So she said, "No, son," brought him back in and spanked him.
Lock the door. Close the door and lock it.
Turned around, walked back out. 9 spankings later, he was determined to go play in that street. She called me. "Honey, what do I do?" I said, "I'll come home. I'll explain it to him in a language he will understand." And he did understand when I got done. I won't tell you what I did because they'd call out, I'd be in jail. Never mind. Children should fear their parents to the point where they don't do wrong.
Young ladies, you may...
Was the kid going out the doggy door or something? Like, the story just... Either you're like a absentee parent or that story was just obviously exaggerated. But why? It's like you're exaggerating a story to make yourself look worse.
Yeah.
But I was just laughing at, because I was like counting the number of clips where I was like, I think these are ones that I told Emma she should use.
Yeah. You were very helpful. So we've not had any pausing from Kent. He's fine with the crazy racism. He's fine.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know he's fine with calling everybody dumb and stupid and idiots and whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. He's not had any problems with anything that's been said so far.
I guess he stands by what he said.
Yeah.
Brother, how many children do you have? 4? Do you have to once in a while discipline them to get them to understand?
Yes, sir.
Is that biblical? Absolutely. Is it effective? Absolutely. Do the kids love you and want to do right, or do they hate you for it? They love you for it. Okay.
Well, what's God's will for my life? Get married, bear children, guide the house. My first IT job, and
I will say that is technically what the Bible says. That I just find it a little weird how he says they love you for the fact that you're spanking them. Like, I don't think they love you because of that. They love you because you're their parent.
They love you in spite of that.
Yeah.
And either they recognize that that is bad, and it can cause trauma and all sorts of things, or they are warped into thinking that that's the only correct way to love your children, and then they become abusive to their future children. It's bad whichever way you look at it.
Yeah, it's cyclical violence.
Mm-hmm. And also, his like, do you have kids? Do you have to discipline them once in a while? And I don't think you should ever like hit a child, but like, it's not like your child is about to do something dangerous, so you do something once that maybe you regret or you maybe think is justified in the moment, whatever. That's different to your immediate go-to being like, I will beat them until they cry so that they know not to do anything that I say they shouldn't do. That's completely way off the other end of the scale. Like, he's kind of minimizing it there, even though there's clips that he's just shown of him talking about like repeatedly, because the 9 spankings was his wife. That was what wasn't nearly enough. And then he couldn't tell us for fear of going to jail what he did. So it's like, there's no sense in playing it down now.
Yeah. And I have a real problem with if you compare two situations where one is like, maybe you tug a child's arm really hard or push them out of the way of the street because there's a car coming. That's fun. I don't think that's abusive. But the idea of driving home to spank your kid, being like angry on the way home, like that's violent.
Yeah.
Because it's premeditated and you're going home to do that. And that type of thing happened to me when I was a kid. It's always better to talk to your child, maybe explain to them why they did something wrong or why it was wrong. Because I think people assume that children are a lot stupider than they actually are, and they don't have the capacity for understanding things at a young age when they really do. I think they're a lot more perceptive than people like Kent might understand.
I agree. It's that kind of biblical perspective of children should do what their parents tell them just because they are their parents, when in reality, you should be able to give your children a reasonable explanation for whatever rules you set. And then they will actually, like you said, they will actually understand and you can talk to them about it.
It's better to raise your child to have decision-making skills, because if they in any situation are just going to look to their parents to say, okay, well, what should I do? When the parent isn't there, they're not going to be prepared for that situation.
Exactly.
So it's better to give them the good decision-making skills and the moral compass to where they know not to do wrong, not just, okay, punish them when they do something wrong. And other than that, just don't even broach the topic. It's better to just prepare them up front, punishing prisoners versus rehabilitating society. It's a lot better to improve society than it is pushing people in overcrowded prisons.
The Palestinians, you ever heard of the Palestinians? Should have utterly destroyed them back then 3,500 years ago. When God told the children of Israel to go into that land, he said, utterly destroy certain nations. They were loaded with diseases. And God said, utterly destroy them, and Israel did not obey. And there are some diseases still haunting humanity today that could have been wiped out in their infancy. The Palestinians, some of those had unbelievable sex
obviously God's people have never had any diseases. Like, diseases only affected the communities that God said go kill those people.
And why didn't God cure these people? Why did they just have to be killed?
And like, this is something that's been joked about since time immemorial, but like, God could have saved a lot of hassle if he told people to wash their hands, quite early on. Like, talk about the disease problem.
Or showed them how to invent the toilet. or modern plumbing.
Yep.
And also, dead bodies can still spread diseases. So just killing people, what about the people that have to carry this act out? What about the people that have to bury these bodies? What happens when they get sick? Do you just keep doing this and just those people get killed too, and then the people that bury their body get killed too? When does this end?
And as far as homosexuality goes, I believe the Bible puts a death penalty on it. I believe it's disgusting. Obviously, I believe it's the government's job to execute criminals, and I believe that the Bible says clearly that homosexuality is a criminal crime. It's a crime.
You are correct that Matt said those things and I said those things. Now, let's just see, what does the Bible say? The Bible talks a lot about the abomination. Some things are disgusting, and somebody do something about it.
Are you talking about something that is an abomination to humans or an abomination to God?
Okay, so an abomination is disgusting, revolting. Some things in the Bible, it says it's an abomination to them. Other things, God says, that's an abomination to me. It's an abomination to me, God said that. It's an abomination to the Lord thy God. Verse Leviticus 18. Thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. That's homosexuality or sodomy. It's an abomination to the Lord, okay? Chapter 20. If man lie with mankind as he lieth with a woman, both have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. I'm just reading what the Bible says, okay? Abomination to the
Not
Lord.
me. It's the Bible. It's God. I can't be held responsible. He knows it's bad.
Their blood will be on their hands. That's what the Bible says. Throw stones at them until they die. Okay, it's just what the Bible says. Okay,
That's the Bible.
It's in there 69 verses.
Nice.
Have the word abomination. Just because God said, here's the list of crimes he wants people executed for, you don't agree with that list. Okay. 15 women have been executed in the U.S.
Okay, what?
Yeah,
That's what God said. I don't agree with it.
Yeah, it's not. It wasn't okay then, and what you're saying isn't okay.
Let's see. 42,000 people were unknowingly HIV positive when AIDS was first reported. So in 1981, 42,000 people is the estimate, had said, would it have been better at that time to quarantine or execute? Or word I used. Would that have been better for humanity? That's what I said. And Emma and her other homosexual friend AJ are so upset about this. I'm just pointing out what God's law.
Me and my
says and the
homosexual
logic
friend
behind it.
AJ. So I'm going to introduce you from now.
That's fine. They did try to quarantine them. You think they didn't try to do that? Of course they did, but they didn't even understand what the disease was. I think I'm done with this video. I'm pretty disgusted by it.
Very. Yeah.
And yeah, maybe educate yourself a little bit about the history of the AIDS crisis, Kent, and just about the history of the LGBT movement and what those terms, what those letters even mean, and this distinction between them, and just learn a few things. Like, you need to learn.
I
very
think he's
old and
way
sad.
past learning. I think he's
Yeah.
way past learning.
Well, Matt Powell should do better, though. He is young enough to where he should know better on this stuff. I think we could just leave it there, but thank you, Emma, for agreeing to tackle this awful video with me. I appreciate that so much.
It was horrible, but it was good to do a video with you.
Yeah. And I will link your channel and your Patreon and all that stuff in the description. And
Thank you.
if anybody who's watching this video isn't already subscribed to Emma, go over to her channel and check it out, and subscribe to me too. I just hit 5,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
Hey, amazing. That is exciting. Well, I'm just gonna end it here. So I'll see you guys in the next video.